That's why his chain smoking habit is thought to be one of the other main causes of his health problems. In fact, an official at the NIS reported to the National Assembly in 2016 Kim is likely to develop an adult disease as he is suffering from insomnia, binge drinking, binge eating, and smoking due to stress. This was Ryu Hyun-min from North Korea.
Decades on, the topic of North Korea remains a touchy subject. The world has passed judgment. The country is beyond repair. Our preconceived ideas about the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea remain firmly in place. An erratic, Orwellian regime, paranoid, schizophrenic, a place of modern-day gulags. A red dynasty, long headed by a despotic film buff, and now by his son, whose portly appearance is topped with a singular haircut. And then there's the country's nuclear arsenal, a threat that makes the self-proclaimed innocent nations of the world tremble with fear. When it comes to North Korea, why do we so often resort to cliches? In light of the difficult and often tragic situation the country's people find themselves in, hyperbole seems rather inappropriate. We're often told that foreigners are not permitted into the country, that those who do manage to visit are not permitted to see much of anything, and that those who do manage to see something should remember it's probably fake.
I'm uploading some videos to YouTube. Is he still living or is he not? Oh, this is a new video. Oh, it was an hour. I'm not watching the whole entire show.
Someone once insisted to us that there were no high-rises in Pyongyang. A disorienting claim, given that one of us was living on the 24th floor of a building on Kwangbok Street at the time. This film was shot over a period of years by 3 people. One of us is a translator of Korean. Between us, we made more than 40 trips to North Korea. But the film does not show prison camps or rocket launch pads. That's forbidden. As are images of soldiers, construction sites, shopping malls, gambling, pictures of people who do not have enough to eat, and pictures of people who are eating. Avoiding these images is harder than it might seem. Entering North Korea is still complicated, but foreigners are permitted to travel and explore the country, although they always have a local minder. Visitors are not required to proclaim their loyalty to the state, nor do they only see what the state permits them to see. And it's a myth that you'll never hear laughter in North Korea.
Wow, bowling's pretty popular in Korea.
As soon as we leave the city, the roads are riddled with cracks and potholes.
Sounds like Michigan. Hey guys, just goofing off, having a little fun. Kitty wants some cheese, so I'm gonna give the kitty some string cheese.
The journey is hard on drivers and vehicles. That could explain why broken down trucks and buses are a common sight.
How is everyone doing this lovely holiday?
Depending on the season, the workers in the fields might be harvesting harvesting wheat, rice, or potatoes. Although much of the country is mountainous, the rest is primarily devoted to farming. North Korea hopes to become economically self-sufficient someday. Every square meter of available land is put to use, even on the steep hillsides. But only barely 20% of the land is arable. This factory was not filmed in 1920, but in 2016 using a small camera while exploring the city of Hamhung.
Jeb
So often in
Brooks,
North Korea,
Chief,
appearances
YouTube.
are deceiving. This is the country's largest fertilizer factory, which...
Yeah, guys, Tyler here. I'm just gonna put up some videos of YouTube, some old videos I have from the other day. Got some videos about 2 years. Jeb Brooks, YouTube. Forget it. I'm gonna type it manually. Search. Greengrass.com. Him. I'm just gonna watch some old YouTube. I like watching YouTube videos, guys. I'm just gonna watch Jeb Brooks because he did Clear. Now, I've been doing YouTube now for almost be 4 years this September. Late September will be 4 years. I've been doing YouTube for. And for the past almost 4 years I've been doing it, past 3.5 years I've been doing YouTube. I like doing it. It's fun. The thing is, though, I wish I had some proper equipment, like, a proper opening would be nice to have for the channel. But, you gotta do what you gotta do. But I mean, if I had a proper computer and the proper people that knew proper technology, I would ask them right now to help me out with this. But you want everything you want, you can't get. Okay, but being a YouTuber, I mean, still, I think I do pretty good for YouTube. I mean, I always wanted to do this one thing most of my life, and guess what? I'll be doing something I always wanted to do. I mean, for years now, I've been wanting to do this one particular thing. And the thing is, though, I am actually right now doing what I wanted to do. I mean, I always wanted to do this one thing. Even when I was younger, I always wanted to do this one particular thing. But as I got older, I found out you can't get what you want. And actually, especially when I got into 6th grade, I mean, I didn't find out until 7th grade that I was diagnosed with we didn't know this, but not until 7th grade when I found out I was diagnosed with autism. When I was 7 years old, I mean, in 7th grade, I was diagnosed with autism, which I don't care. I have autism. I was diagnosed with, when I was in 7th grade, I was diagnosed with autism. After that, I got transferred to a different school to help with autism. And I don't have the thing. There's tons of different autisms. People say they need to change the autism scale, which someone actually one time I got a call from someone from the state saying, one time I did get a call from someone saying, do you think the autism scale, I mean, I did get a chance to write a letter to some company. Do you think the autism scale could change? I said, yes, change the autism scale. Because it shows us a smiley face and a mean face. I mean, I thought I had autism in 7th grade. February 2007, I finally got told when I got autism. Now, I don't care. I have it. It's fun though. But I don't care about autism. I don't care what I do. As long as I make videos and like people like them or don't like them, I really don't give a care. I just do it for fun. I mean, every year I get worse and worse, but I try hiding it.
Truly the right way to start something like this. As you look around at this absolutely magnificent room, our first stop was the Metropolitan Lounge. All passengers booked into sleeper car services are granted access to this lounge, which is really nice. A great place to sort of settle in and get ready for your trip. The lounge offers plenty of seating for
boomerang
and adults. There are showers and even bag storage.
Do not block this locker.
There are also places to charge up and knock out some work. Unfortunately, during our visit, there was no food on offer.
Now there is.
The first meal on the Zephyr is dinner, so we're going to grab a quick bite to eat here at the station. So we've got a little food in us before we begin the journey. Thankfully, Union Station has plenty of options for hungry travelers. We each
Chick-fil-A.
from different restaurants and then found a table sitting together.
McDonald's cracking nuts. Healthy.
There's a nearby convenience store to visit before the road trip. Union Station is fantastic. I could have spent a lot more time in here exploring. Here's the waiting area for coach passengers. But it was this map of Amtrak's route network that really caught my attention. It really gave me a sense of the vast swath of the country we'd be traveling. We returned to the lounge just before boarding began.
Train 5 is boarding, track 18, here we come. Zephyr's about to kick off. The anticipation is real. This is, boarding anything is exciting, but a long-haul train is something special.
Unlike my previous experiences on Amtrak, there were plenty of employees there to show us the way to our rooms. Now, we'd each booked our own room. 2 guys chose roomettes, and 2 of us chose bedrooms. We'll explore both room types on this trip.
16 videos.
One of the greatest benefits of the sleeper car is our dedicated sleeping car attendant. Ours was fantastic. He was so kind
He was
and
pissy.
enthusiastic, ready to support us in any
What
way.
of sex?
Without much effort, I found
C.
my room C in the sleeper car closest to the dining car.
Made it smooth as silk. Just getting settled in here, and then once we get going, we'll take a look around the room. That feels like a home.
It's amazing just how many moving pieces and parts are required to make one of these massive machines work. A successful trip depends on so much. But when I noticed our 2 o'clock departure time had slipped past, I thought maybe one of them wasn't cooperating.
There's a leaking shower, and if they're having to move the people who are in the room with the shower forward, the concern is we run out of water because they can't figure out how to stop the leaking. So hopefully they sort all this out. But, your guess is as good as mine at this point. We're probably about 10 minutes late because of that shower mishap. I guess they sorted it out. Hopefully we won't run out of water. Time will tell. But we're headed out to Chicago.
The Zephyr's name derives from the Greek god of the western wind, Zephyrus, so it felt good to be blowing out of the station on our westward journey. Now, this seemed like a good time to familiarize myself with the route. Amtrak offers a number of sleeping accommodations on these long-haul trains. Should I put together a video highlighting the pros and cons of each one? Let me know. For now, this bedroom can easily offer sufficient space for 2 adults to sleep. Now, the 4 of us were comfortable hanging out here during the day. The sofa converts to a bed that's a little wider than a twin, and the upper bunk folds down, but it's not quite as wide. There's a closet, which was ideal given the changing weather conditions we'd experienced on this journey. It was great to have easy access to my coat. It's possible to adjust the room's temperature here, where there's also a plug and a reading light. Amtrak stocks bedrooms with a number of pillows, but I still brought my own all the way from home. There's a chair, a mirror, and luggage storage right here. There's also another light, call button, and adjustment for the in-room speaker over there by the sofa. The bedroom also includes a sink, along with 1 million other tasks he completed. Our room attendant helpfully emptied the trash can every day as well. The table made me feel gratitude for the extra United Airlines sanitizing wipe I'd picked up on my trip to Chicago. This was pretty disgusting. There's still another reading light over the chair. There's a bathroom and a shower in the bedroom. And this, as far as I'm concerned, is the #1 reason to select this space over all of the others available on Amtrak. Having your own bathroom is great. That said, don't forget your toiletries. Amtrak only supplies towels and soap. And with that, I was settled in. Amtrak's flexible dining was on offer for this trip. We were able to try nearly every dish, so keep watching to see the Jeb Score award-winning Amtrak Flexible Dining Dish of the Year. I'll give you a hint, it's not the meatballs. As we made our way through the Chicago suburbs, we received some helpful Amtrak advice from the speakers above.
The restroom, please make sure you flush the toilet. Once again, when you use the restroom, please make sure you lock the door behind you when you go in and flush the toilet.
Only 30 minutes after leaving Chicago, we hit our
First stop, Naperville.
And with Naperville in our dust, I decided to head out and find the guys.
Hello, Jeffrey.
Jeff, what's happening?
You know, what amazes me is, we've only been 35 miles out of Chicago, right? And it's always getting to a fairly non-populated area. It just brings me to the point of how expansive the United States Yes.
And speaking of expansive, we're in a bedroom, and there's room for four grown guys kind of hang out and, as Sean would say, chit chat. But yeah, it's actually pretty comfortable considering kind of what we've got here. A roomette, we'll take a look at that a little later. I think that's better suited for one of us to be in the time, but we'll try it out with as many people.
SRX Racing.
YouTube.
Yes.
If I had the money, I'd do that. What? Well, if I did a train video, people would think, "What the fuck would Tyler go?" Tyler's doing. I have quick slice videos popping up, but they wouldn't be able to come on until late, and I got back around midnight. Let people know that, hey, 26 minutes ago, I remember that video out. You know, I have some videos that would be odd. But think of it, guys, if I actually held a YouTube channel, I would be. My YouTube channel's not famous, but I wish I had the equipment that everyone else had. No,
Big ideas can come from
I'm over 3 hours for these videos to upload to YouTube.
which could be true.
Hey guys, here's a new idea that can absolutely change the game. What if you apply our solar technology to the dome tip? We'll call it the solar tip.
I got 2 videos already uploaded to YouTube already.
How about that?
So, how's everyone doing this lovely afternoon? I tell you that
It's not a rock,
that's not against the rules, is it?
it's a journey.
What? Question marks on is. Hey guys, Tyler here. Just goofing off, having fun. And I was surprised how popular those videos they did last night at Walmart were. I mean, that is rare for a store to actually have their fire alarms go off. Because when I walked in Walmart, the alarms going off, I ran and looked at looked towards the deli and see no fire, so I just did what I had to do. But my ears were burning and ringing my ears were ringing for about. I'm telling you that the car mirrors were still ringing. That's how loud it was.
Let me see.
Trunk? Trunk?
The trunk? He opens the trunk.
No, you can't open anything on this.
Yeah.
What's going on? Is there
Some cops freaking out somewhere
Oh,
behind
okay.
me, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And we gotta see how good at off-roading they really are.
Yeah. Where should we do that?
Oh,
Jesus. We should do that after you get pulled over by this BMW cop for going on public lanes.
We so sorry.
Yeah, say that to him. Come on.
Oh, what you doing?
There's a ruiner going 3 miles an hour around the
You're
corner
about to
right
get your
here.
car ruined, or
Yeah, well. Tell him that.
Ooh,
Traffic.
Pop Nation with these.
Yeah, yeah.
traffic. All right,
Pop,
we're gonna go
Pop
to,
Nation, Pop
What
Nation.
about like the dirt road on the side of the airport? Just hit that up, and it leads us to the Joshua on the other side.
Yeah, sure.
Try that at first. Something simple.
Pop
These things are-
Nation, Pop Nation.
This is a video about an extended visit to the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, DPRK, or North Korea, as it is more commonly known. The total trip went from Canada to Beijing and thence to Pyongyang. I left the DPRK by train for Vladivostok and then flew to South Korea before flying home. It was fascinating.
Dang, he had a long flight. I'm glad I'm not going to rural there anytime soon. I wouldn't mind going to Canada for a weekend, for a holiday. Canada's only 3 hours from here. Canada's only 3 hours from here. No, really, it is. Actually, it's kind of funny. I'm only 3 hours from Canada. What do you mean 3 hours from Canada, Tyler? Go to Detroit, and then go a couple feet further. Now, Detroit's about 2.5 hours from here. I go to Detroit, go a couple feet lower, cross the state, cross into Canada by ferry. It's about 2.5 hours to Chicago, where I'm staying. I can go to Detroit or Chicago. Either way, it's about 2.5 hours. I can be in Canada within 3 hours. I'm not kidding.
Marie agreed to try a few things out, saying she'd meet me at a workshop in.
Now, what I was thinking is being stupid, but you know. But you know what I'm saying, guys? I'm thinking I'm stupid.
For the wood burning stove. Is that a petrol tank?
Your skin is not going to work in this. I mean, hello. Let's be realistic.
You guys are idiots to build a car.
Honestly, I mean, I would hate to see the stars.
Just my seat. Right, you ready? Yes, I'm ready. Go.
Whoa!
That's it. No, yeah, that is a problem. Hang on. Why don't you go in the back? I'm going to go in the back. Now, obviously, Jeremy had added quite a lot of weight to the car. So how would it affect performance?
So this was a 2.8 litre, 6-cylinder, 0-60, about 11 seconds. With a concrete floor and floorboards on top of that, it's going to take longer than that.
Well, I brought a stopwatch. 3, yes, 2, yes, 1, yes, go. While pots are over, yeah. Flower arrangement sliding backwards quickly. We're low, we're pots, we're plants. We're approaching 35 miles an hour. This is the fastest Anne Hathaway's cottage has ever been. 43 miles an hour. Good, yes. If this gets any slower, we'll have to redecorate. It'll have gone out. Oh no! What? The chimney's fallen off. You're joking! Keep going. I am 56 miles an hour. Hold on! 59! 60 miles an hour! 35.4 seconds. I'm going to have to brake very far. Whoa! Having retrieved the chimney, we checked out the electrical systems. It's stuck. Reverse gear. Brake lights. Brake lights. They're on. They're not. Well, the brakes are on. Well, the brake lights aren't working. That's an MOT failure. It's more than that, mate. The wire for the brake lights. The wire for the brake lights. Yeah. Is on the floor, isn't it? Ah, under the concrete. Yes. It's concreted that in. Never mind. Time to turn up the heater and test the handling. We must now turn up. 3, 2, 1, go. Has it come back? Right turn coming up. Race, now turning. That's bad now. That's bad. That's bad. James? Yes. How many is there? Oh no. Regaining control of the cottage. Yeah, bleeding quite a lot. James, I can see double. It's left. Now. Well.
16%.
And we're nearly there. Across the line. Do you know what? What? This is rubbish. Terrible.
I believe you do, because I would never want to write that hunk of junk. YouTube. YouTube. You're watching YouTube. We're watching Fox.
All episodes of the Mighty Ducks Game Changers are now available, and it's a certified hit.
That's one way to do it.
It's bringing all the excitement, kind of like this, and all the feels.
Ducks fly together.
Don't miss the show everyone's been quacking about.
Pretty cool.
The Mighty Ducks Game Changers. All episodes now streaming on Disney+.
Spring driving is here, and the countdown to luxury has begun at your local Cadillac showroom. Experience the iconic style and bold sophistication in a Cadillac SUV or sedan. Reward yourself, then move up to a Cadillac. GM employees and eligible family members with current eligible GM lease. Get this low mileage lease on this 2021 Cadillac XT5 for $369 per month.
If you're my age, you might remember Yugoslavia as a sort of communist country that was a nice place to go on holiday. But you'll definitely remember it for the cheap, tiny hatchback.
I seen one of those in real life.
Upon the unsuspecting public, the Yugo. It went from an amazing, new, inexpensive car to the butt of many a joke in a short space of time, then suddenly disappeared from sale. What were the Yugo's origins? Why did its meteoric rise end so suddenly? What
Albert Crossback.
behind it? This is the Yugo story.
And because of Michigan. And because we killed it. Michigan killed it off.
Yugoslavia was occupied by the fascist Axis powers during the Second World War, but from this came a virulent communist resistance. They gained power through popular vote after the war, ruled by Joseph Tito. Like many communist governments, they decided democracy was overrated, so became the permanent rulers. But unlike the other Eastern European communist nations, they were independent from Russia's control. A country that wants to chart its own course also needs to look out for its own economy, and one thing every country needed in the 20th century was vehicles. The Zastava was a company that had been founded in the mid-19th century making armaments, and in the early 20th century started producing military vehicles. 100 years after the company was founded, in 1953, workers voted to start civilian car production and
YouTube.
Any comment at all on these Crusader chat rooms?
How do we do that up?
If you're my age, you might remember Yugoslavia as a sort of communist country that was a nice place to go on holiday. But you'll definitely remember it for the cheap, tiny hatchback thrust.
This stop. I want to see what the company used to build.
Upon an unsuspecting public in Yugo. It went from an amazing, new, inexpensive car to the butt of many a joke in a short space of time, then suddenly disappeared from sale. What were the Yugo's origins? Why did its meteoric rise end so suddenly? And what happened to the company behind it? This is the Yugo story.
Zastava.
Yugoslavia was occupied by the fascist Axis powers during the Second World War, but from this came a virulent communist resistance. They gained power through popular vote after the war, ruled by Joseph Tito. Like many communist governments, they decided democracy was overrated, so became the permanent rulers. But unlike the other Eastern European communist nations, they were independent from Russia's control. A country that wants to chart its own course also needs to look out for its own economy, and one thing every country needed in the 20th century was vehicles. The Zastava was a company
AST.
that had been founded in the mid-19th century making armaments, and in the early 20th century started producing military vehicles. 100 years after the company was founded, in 1953, workers voted to start civilian car production and reached out to Western car companies for help. Like many other communist countries, Zastava agreed a deal with Fiat in 1954 to produce the Fiat 1100, 1400, and Campagnola. They soon moved on to the practical Fiat 600, renamed the Zastava 750 as it had a larger 750cc engine. Car production started slowly. Just over 1,000 cars left the factory in 1955, and 3 years later it was much higher. But Zastava would export to other communist countries such as Poland. The Yugoslav economy blossomed by the late 1960s, Zastava was producing around 50,000 cars a year. In 1971, Zastava introduced their own version of the Fiat 128, the Zastava 101. Where the Fiat 128 was a saloon or an estate, the Yugoslav version would be a practical 3- or 5-door hatchback. The larger 1.1-litre engine made it a better car to drive than the underpowered Zastava 750. The 101 sold well in Yugoslavia with independent rear suspension that coped well with challenging Eastern European roads. It would show up in Egypt and Poland. There were even rumours Fiat would sell it back in Italy. The 101 was a modern front-engined hatchback, beating Volkswagen's Golf and Fiat's own 128 coupe to the market. The plucky little 101 won its class in the 1973 Tour of Europe Rally. Rallies are one thing, long-term daily use is quite another. The car quickly got the nickname Stoyadin, both a male name, but also close to Stoyada or 100 woes for its truly awful quality thanks to poor assembly. Quality on the 101 might not have been so bad that the wheels would fall off, but the wheels were falling off the Yugoslav economy. The oil crisis quadrupled the price of oil that Yugoslavia had to import. A series of disastrous economic errors by the government meant a buoyant economy had gone into recession. With the smaller 750 looking a bit long in the tooth, Zastava looked for a replacement. By this point, they felt confident enough designing a new front-wheel drive hatchback for themselves, beginning in 1975. However, Zastava would lean heavily on Fiat to help them produce the new vehicle. The first prototype was ready by 1978, called the Zastava 102, and soon testing began in both Italy and Yugoslavia. As development progressed, the team evaluated their engine choices. The two candidates were an 848cc engine and the 1.1-litre engine from the Zastava 101. The smaller engine was abandoned as it was too weak, but the larger 1.1-litre engine was too expensive for the new entry-level car. In the end, Zastava decided to take the 900cc 44-horsepower engine from the Fiat 127, giving the small car adequate, if not compelling, performance for 0 to 60 times over 20 seconds. The new car, renamed the Yugo 45, was launched at the Belgrade Motor Show in October 1980, with deliveries promised just 2 months later. True to their word, by the end of the year, Yugos were being delivered to lucky Yugoslav customers. Zastava and the Yugoslav government had rounded goals, though. With Ladas and Skodas selling in Western European markets, they felt the new economical hatchback could more than compete and hopefully take away some sales from the Western competition.
Bored.
By 1983,
I don't think so.
the Yugo had arrived on British shores. It escaped the scathing reviews.
The US was called the
Ladas.
GV.
Its main selling point was its low price, especially in an increasingly crowded super mini category. But all sales generated profit that helped Yugoslavia's struggling economy. That same year, Zastava presented the more powerful 54-horsepower 1.1-litre Yugo 55 at the Belgrade Motor Show. It featured an updated interior with velour seats, front headrests, and a reversing light. The larger engine allowed the car to compete with Western competition with a 0 to 60 time around 16 seconds. Sales continued to increase and Zastava started exporting to countries around the world.
Not here. They sucked. I actually seen 2 Yugos before in real life. One of those from my grandparents' house and one near my uncle's house.
A larger-than-life American entrepreneur. He began his business career turning his dad's building supply business into a franchise chain at the age of just 19. He sold his interest in 1960 after dozens of lawsuits were filed on the company shortly before the company's bankruptcy. By the mid-60s, he was in Japan looking for scooters for his new rental company. Fuji Heavy Industries had such a scooter, but Fuji were exiting the business. Bricklin's eye fell on a tiny Subaru 360 that looked like a Fiat 500 and rear-ended a Volkswagen Beetle. He realized that at £900, many of the rules for US cars didn't apply to it, meaning he could import the car into the US pretty much as is, selling the small car as a cheap alternative to Detroit's land yachts. Bricklin founded Subaru of America, and both the 360 and the FF1 Star appeared on American shores. The company went public, and Bricklin became a very rich man. For his next venture, he decided to build his own
I
car,
seen those cars.
One or Safety Vehicle One.
I seen one of those Brooklyns before. They're cool cars. The problem is they have a Beetle engine in them.
It used innovative plastic bodywork and dramatic gull-wing doors. The sports car went toe-to-toe with Chevrolet's Corvette, but it was unreliable, and the whole project ended in failure after producing less than 3,000 cars.
Where's retarded kids at, huh? Hello? Okay.
Line and the 124 Sports Spider.
They make those still, the 124?
The Tony and the Pininfarina Azura. When Cadillac started a joint venture with Pininfarina, they put pressure on the Italian company to cancel the deal with Bricklin. This left Malcolm Bricklin looking for a new project. He'd had great success bringing a low-cost Subaru to North America. With Americans still concerned about rising fuel prices, did he do the same again? His team scoured the planet looking for a new low-cost car, and soon they honed in on the Yugo. American businessman Myro Kiefert was already in negotiations with Zastava to import the Yugo to America. However, despite showing it at the 1984 Los Angeles Auto Show, these plans came to naught, leaving the path open for Malcolm Bricklin. Knowing little to nothing about Yugoslavia, or indeed even the Yugo, Bricklin's team headed off for discussions at Zastava's factory. Bricklin was shocked by the shambolic conditions at the factory compared to Western car companies. Men were welding without goggles in a show of machismo, and some slept in completed cars. But he found the seeds of something he could sell, so did a deal to import the 1.1-litre Yugo 55 into North America. With Zastava workers being paid almost 30 times less than US auto workers, he believed he could sell a car for less in the US and still make a profit. All the optional features were thrown at the car to make it something American customers would buy. Bricklin brought in experts to help them with metallic paint, and he educated Zastava on US regulations so the car would be street legal. Back in the US, Bricklin, ever the salesman, made a flashy video to encourage franchise dealerships across the country. Disadvantages were turned into advantages. There were no expensive computer chips to go wrong or diagnose. The spare wheel in the engine bay would absorb energy in the frontal impact, and key door locks and keys couldn't accidentally be locked inside the car. Bricklin then started on convincing the American buying
I buy one of those things.
Endless, flashy adverts pitched the Yugo as an inexpensive starter car or a second car at just $3,990, about £7,000 today. He even made the Yugo
$10,000 today.
part of the US volleyball team. In typical showmanship, Bricklin made much out of the Yugo using the space-age material Lexan for bumpers and other parts. However, Lexan was nothing more than a polycarbonate developed before the space age had even begun in 1953. If you believe Bricklin, Yugo could do everything except maybe jump a bridge. Soon, pre-orders began flooding in, up to 100,000 according to Malcolm Bricklin, with some people paying thousands above the list price as Americans waited for this new wonder car from Yugoslavia. Zastava had to ramp up production to satisfy demand, with 3 shifts working 24 hours a day, producing one car every 10 minutes. But as the car neared release in the US, cost became a major concern. Bricklin had promised the car in the US for less than $4,000. Any more on the car wouldn't have been competitive. He'd promised $500 per vehicle to the dealers, and Bricklin's company also needed to make some profit, but this left precious little profit for Zastava. Nothing, in fact. Costs for the Yugo had risen because US compliance items had to be purchased from outside Yugoslavia. Matters reached a head, and Bricklin headed to Zastava's factory. He took...
Where's our money?
Valvoline's formula is proven to maximize engine life. Now with 40% better wear protection. Because an original never stops improving.
Senior Chief Kelly is the third member to be attacked. 3 Perks are dead. Also killed as well.
He told the company bluntly that they weren't going to make any profit from the deal. With a poor economy, some work was better than no work, so Zastava had no choice but to accept, maybe hoping to establish themselves in the US and make profit in the future. There were hopes of up to 150,000 sales in the US by 1988. But the Achilles heel of Zastava, quality, raised its ugly head. Zastava quality had never been high, and with hiring new people to produce the Yugo due to increasing demand, mistakes were being made. To make matters worse, quality wasn't Zastava's number one issue, as any problems found after the car left the factory were Brickland's problem, and with no profit, there wasn't the cash to solve the underlying production issues. Brickland had set up 2 production lines, one specifically for US Yugos, but quality issues remained. He would later joke that Subaru dealers hated him because they made no money from warranty issues, but he made that up by importing the Yugo. The Yugo GV, or Great Value, arrived on American shores, allowing journalists to finally try it. They found a light car that was down on power and with fit and finish issues, but a good deal compared to other cheap imports such as the Hyundai XL that cost 50% more. The public laughed at the Yugo, but Brickland and the dealers were making money from this little car. The flashy commercials continued to drum up sales. Brickland would give you $50 if you bought any other car under $5,000. The challenge was finding another car under $5,000. Competitive loans did what was necessary to get people with little income into a brand new Yugo. Soon, Brickland launched the higher spec GVX model with a larger 1.3-litre engine, putting performance on par with its competition, and air conditioning was now an option, almost a necessity in parts of the US. Brickland attempted to take the car further upmarket with alloy wheels, a sunroof, trim kits, and eventually an automatic gearbox. Customers were generally happy with their purchases, at least in the first year or so. In 1987, a popular mechanics survey showed that most customers thought the workmanship was excellent, and most said that they'd buy one again. But the Yugo became the butt of many jokes. Prospective customers felt they'd rather be seen in a used car than a brand new Yugo. To make matters worse, resale prices weren't great. Yugo in North America had all the signs of a fad, something borne out in sales figures that were already tailing off by 1988. The year Brickland sold his stake in the business for a cool $20 million. Back in Europe, sales were steady. The over 500 improvements Brickland had encouraged, including the large engine, were offered in Europe, which kept the car somewhat competitive. Zastava even released convertible. Even after US sales dropped off, Yugo sales continued to grow towards the end of the 1980s. The future looked bright for Zastava. They agreed a deal with Fiat to sell the Yugo as the Innocenti Mini in Italy, and Zastava released a new Yugo in 1990 Florida, also known as the Sana. It was based on the Fiat Tipo, inspired by Italian design. Western European reviewers again called out the poor attention to detail.
I thought it was fine.
Sure that US distributors were looking to sell Yugo's new car, but sales came to a sudden halt. The late 1980s had been a tumultuous time for Eastern Europe, with one communist government falling after another. Yugoslavia's economy had been in meltdown for several years. In 1985, inflation had reached 70%. But rather than the swift transition to democracy other countries had seen, latent ethnic tensions erupted into a full civil war in 1992. Trade sanctions on Yugoslavia, Yugos or spare parts couldn't leave the country, and parts to build the Yugo couldn't enter the country. Foreign Yugo distributors had no choice but to shut up shop. The UK distributors held a fire sale, meaning the Yugo 45 could be had for as low as £2,000. But with no chance of spare parts, even buying one at that price might be seen as a fool's errand. Many of the 8,000 parts for the Yugo came from all over Yugoslavia. Politicians wanted it that way to gain votes. This made car production in the middle of the Civil War practically impossible, although amazingly, limited production did continue. The war tore Yugoslavia apart, and Zastava, quite literally, the factory was bombed by NATO in 1999. Production limped along in the new country of Serbia. Zastava held talks with Hungarian firms to start production of the Yugo there, but this came to nothing. After trade sanctions were lifted, the new government got a £36 million loan to reorganise the company and get it ready for privatisation. Although with Zastava also producing defence items such as guns that were seen as a better bet for privatisation, it felt not much money ended up improving car production. With the original Fiat engines being ancient by this stage, new Peugeot engines were sourced. Zastava hoped to breathe new life into the Yugo with an electric version in 2002, plus an updated body that they showed at the Belgrade Motor Show. These versions never saw the light of day, and with these cars being so out of date, all hopes of exporting Yugos seem to have died. Or had they? Malcolm Bricklin appeared on the scene again, proposing to sell the Yugo once more in the USA under the cunning name of the Zastava Motorworks, or ZMW as Americans would say. Understandably, BMW took a very dim view to that name. It was all academic though, as Brooklyn's grand plans failed to materialise. This was a dire time for Zastava. They were doing what they could with outdated tooling and little funding. Half the factory was an abandoned, bombed-out shell. Audi were making cars in Hungary. Dacia was thriving thanks to Renault. Without the deal, the factory would close, and with it, the surrounding economy. In 2005, though, a deal was done to produce the Fiat Punto as the Zastava 10. But sales never met Zastava's projections, leading the venerable company with roots going back to 1853 to declare bankruptcy in 2008. With it, production of the Yugo 45 ended after producing almost 800,000 cars, 250,000 of which were exported. Zastava's assets were purchased by Fiat, who poured money into the factory to modernise it, reopening it in 2012. It's grown to employ over 2,000 people, and in just 6 years, it's produced over 500,000 vehicles. Yugo made Time's 50 worst cars of all time. It's been voted the worst car of
Number
the millennium.
4.
That's an unfair assessment. Many owners treat this cheap car with little respect, failing to service it regularly. But treated well, Yugo can give years of trouble-free motoring. It's based on the tried and tested Fiat 127 and 128 mechanics, which lasted many Fiat owners for years, so this shouldn't be a surprise. Yugos can still be seen on the roads of former Yugoslavia, a testament to the macho welders who didn't need goggles and occasionally slept in their completed vehicles, but who worked hard to produce.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to American Truck Simulator. Once again, we are on the experimental beta for the Convoy, which is version 1.41. This is multiplayer that is native into American Truck Simulator.
Hello. I'm a sick head.
Okay, you got promoted. I haven't talked to anybody in 6 months.
Now you would have talked to Simon.
No, I haven't talked to anybody. I tried calling.
You didn't talk to anybody.
I haven't talked to anybody. No one's reached out to me. I haven't been in communication at all.
Did you get the ship built, or is there a ship coming, or what's going on?
I don't know. I'm hanging out on a desert island. I live in a cave and I drink pea water. And I eat bulbo trees.
Look, this is news to me. Hold on. Tina, can you look up Simon?
Who's Tina?
I'm an assistant now.
Okay,
Can
congratulations.
you believe this? Her name is actually Tina Turner. Like the
No
singer.
kidding, like the singer, yeah. Okay, great. So Tina Turner's your assistant.
You know what her middle name is? Natalie. You know what her initials are?
TNT?
Like the dynamite.
Like the dynamite, okay. Great.
That's my assistant.
Ship's still coming for me?
I don't know. I got promoted.
Oh, good.
Simon's in charge of your account now.
Well, obviously Simon fucked up.
I'm looking into that. Listen, first things first. Tina, how passenger 00FU's files transferred to my computer?
Why did you call me in the first place anyway?
Is that your birthday?
The hell if I know? I've lost all track of time.
Well, I'm pretty sure it is. You got a birthday certificate. Figure this out, singer.
This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous that you guys lost my information.
Are you making me say it?
Now.
Did I get a promotion?
Yeah, it's great you got a promotion. My God!
Oh, here they are. I got your files at my desk now. Last entry 6 months ago. You're right. You've been done.
No, I couldn't reach out. I couldn't talk to anybody, so I just came back to the surface, and I live on this island now. It's actually been very nice, but on a little weight, to be honest. All the trees are more fattening than they look.
The good fats and the bad fats. There's two kinds of fats.
It must be the bad ones, because I got a little bit of a belly.
We've got spaghetti.
Spaghetti? Or you eat Dr. Spaghetti?
Like your spaghetti? Yep. It's whatever your inventory.
Dr. Spaghetti's a sea moth.
Yep. You have
Down here on
Cyclops.
the beach. The Cyclops? I don't think the Cyclops is in good condition. Well, I was looking at the beacons here, and the Cyclops name was Deep Shit.
Yep, that's right.
There's a beacon that says destroyed Cyclops Deep Shit.
Destroyed?
Yeah, so I assume I abandoned it what, 5.5 months ago. I couldn't talk to anybody. I didn't know what to do.
What's that thing?
I didn't know what to do, so I said, okay, I'm just gonna come to this island and wait to die.
There's nobody here. I'll just abandon my shelter.
I'm surprised I haven't died already because I'm really sick.
Let's see. First things first. We need to get you on a spaceship and get you back to Earth.
I can't. A spaceship can't come here because of the gun.
All right.
The gun's activated because I have a disease.
Okay. The disease.
Yeah.
That's right. Damn, we gotta let me catch up on. Okay. We know what the good fats are.
I don't give a shit about the fats. How do I get out of here?
Let's get rid of that disease. You're not coming here with that disease. Customs will stop you like that.
Where were we last time? What happened? I'm trying to remember. It's been a minute.
The file says you had some creature brain talking to you.
Oh yeah, the big every day. I live on a beach. Yeah, nothing's trying to eat me. I don't want to go back in the water, if I'm going to be completely honest.
Hey, we can close this case right now if you want. Mr. 002, happy. Case closed.
No, I want to get out of here.
You want to get out of
I
there?
want to eat a damn cheeseburger again.
Those are the bad fats.
I don't care. I want the bad fats.
Okay, then we gotta get back in the water, go see the big brain talking lady, and bring her some fuel samples.
All right, do it. All right, I got to think. Let's go back to the light pod and let's look at our supplies.
Okay.
Can't live without here again. Jesus.
Times. Have fun in it. It's
No.
exciting.
No, it's not.
Remember some of the stuff we used to do? That's how we made up. What's that thing that, the claws or the jumping thing? Walk around?
The prawn suit?
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. The prawn suit was actually in the Cyclops.
You lost both.
That may be destroyed too. I don't know. All right, I'm full. We check my inventory here. What is all this? Okay, flares, signals. Okay, I think I'm ready to go back down to the monster under the sea.
Is that what you're cooking with, Buster?
Well, she's trying.
Okay, but listen, if she speaks to you, you might not want to cook her monster.
Yeah, I won't do it to her face.
That's fine. That's what you said.
Well, yeah, she can talk to me telepathically. I don't know if she can understand what I think.
You think you're so far that she can't hear you telepathically right now?
I have no idea.
You know this works. You might not even think great thoughts at all.
All right. Okay, I'm heading west. I think that's where the mushroom forest was. And I think there's a work gate there.